Better game golf in my pocket. Now, what this is about is a absolutely critical issue when it comes to serious improvement of my golf game, and it has to do with the means and the reality of most of our lives, particularly during our 30s, 40s, 50s, and even 60s, is that we are extremely busy. And we simply, because of jobs, family, friends, and other commitments, simply do not have the time or access to the place, being the driving range or the practice ground or the golf course. So we are effectively taken away in this framing of it from the places that and the time where we could actually work on getting better. So the wish is there, but the practicalities are simply not. And I have to say, I found myself in that position for many years. I worked in global branding, and that meant being on flights across oceans and staying in hotels and taxis and uh, offices and hotel rooms. And it's easy to just say, this is the reality. I can't do anything. But there's a big idea at the heart of better game golf. And it is that we can reframe the stuff of a busy everyday life and take some of the incredibly simple aspects of that and treat them as an opportunity to do something that's going to benefit my game. Because in terms of the golfing body mind stuff, well, our mind is there whether we're on a plane or train or hotel room, and that can be used to good effect. And many of the golfing body mind exercises are in that bucket. Uh, and the other aspect of it is the application of the initial Alexander technique, because that speaks to absolutely the stuff of everyday life. It speaks to how we stand, how we sit, how we walk, how we bend, and also how we breathe. And all of those things, all of those very mundane, everyday facts or activities, which are so easy to take for granted, play a huge role in the golfer that arrives on the course. So it is possible to learn about sitting athletically because it's so easy to slump in various ways. And that has a huge impact on the posture and on the muscles and fascia. And if you're doing it for extended periods, can very seriously inhibit your ability to move in a free and dynamic way on the course. So even something as prosaic and everyday as sitting can be a opportunity to on one level it's not do any harm, but it could even be more positive than that, and you could and can learn through some of what we're going to cover to sit athletically. And exactly the same with standing. It's very easy to develop inappropriate posture over time, have a body that's out of equilibrium, and that can come in part by how we sit. But some of the ideas on posture, particularly from our Victorian ancestors, are simply absolutely less than optimal. So there's little directions antagonistic directions that can be given when you're standing in a queue in a supermarket or to check in on a flight, or whatever, to make the little subtle adjustments that put you in a position of dynamic advantage. And walking, it's absolutely possible to learn ways of walking using antagonistic, the balance of forces, which create a kind of walk that's light and springy. This is the area of tensegrity structures and biotensegrity. And if you ever look at someone like Rory, when he's in good form, it's almost like he's on a spring, bouncing along the fairway. And he's using a lot of these principles of balanced forces within the body. So, and breathing. Well, if we ain't breathing, we ain't living. So we breathe 22,000 times a day, 7.5 million in a year. And absolutely, there are ways of changing your breathing habits. And what they do is have an immediate and direct effect on the autonomic nervous system. And being able to manage the autonomic nervous system is a hugely important competence that applies to performance on the golf course, particularly when you're under pressure. So, 4 very basic things, breathing, standing, sitting, and walking, are potentially opportunities to put yourself in a position to get that better round out and to be better than you ever thought you could be. And we haven't covered other very critical and everyday movements like bending and twisting and gripping. And there's some really good stuff in the initial Alexander technique that can be used to good effect in everyday life, and obviously are going to help you when you get to the golf course. So essentially, the big idea is reframe time and reframe place. The reframing of place is you do not have to be literally at the golf course or the driving range or the practice ground. Every place is an opportunity that you can work on using your mind and your imagination, and reframe time in that the habits of everyday life are grist to the mill in terms of the task of being better. And by the way, applying some of these habits of dynamic modulation of postural tone is the fancy description, but habits of good integrated movement will be of benefit generally, but also more specifically. So the opportunity to be better than you ever thought you could be on the golf course is everywhere, every day, every moment, every place.